Today we're going to look at the most sought after chase cards from each of the Scarlet and Violet era sets, and then we're also going to take a look at the runner up, the one which in my opinion could either surpass it one day or come close to it, so in some ways could be considered a sleeper card, and that maybe one day it will increase in value. So let's go ahead and take a look at that list right now. So we're going to start off with the Scarlet and Violet base set, and we're going to work our way all the way up to Shrouded Fable, which as of recording this is the most recently released Scarlet and Violet set. So beginning off, we have the most sought after or the biggest chase card from Scarlet and Violet base, which is God of War EX. This is the SIR card. If we take a quick look at the graph, we can see that there's definitely been a big explosion in value recently. So September 18th, $23.41, roughly a year ago, and then it hit its peak $34.58 on May 27th, and its current value is $27.58. Now this card surpassed the Miriam SIR for the most sought after and expensive card from this set. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the runner up, or in my opinion the card that I think could one day surpass this card or meet it at its value. So my pick would be the Miraidon EX. This card, in my opinion, is very beautiful. I like it a whole lot more than the Koraidon EX. You have Miraidon over here in sort of this metropolitan, futuristic, or in some cases modern city, kind of gliding through the cityscape, looking down at the Pokemon over here. It's a very vibrant and wonderful looking card. It's very purple. It has those sort of tones, as obviously Miraidon is the violet of the Scarlet and Violet. It's a really nice card. I would love to get this card personally. Its current value is, I'm a little surprised at. Now I think it's because it's a newer Pokemon, and then Scarlet and Violet base set is, the pull rates were really good for this set. You could pull a lot of cards, so I think long term, will this reach heights that we haven't seen before? I doubt it. But if you were to look at the values and the graph, there's lots of ups and downs, and it looks like from a year ago at $20.55, it's dropped a little bit to $17.21. It looks like its peak was around June 3rd, $23.34, and its low, April 22nd, $13.72. I would keep an eye out for this card in the future. Then we move on over to Paldea Evolved. So Magikarp, the illustration rare card, is the most expensive and sought after card, and definitely deserves it. It is a very beautiful card. It's very reminiscent of that Giratina V alternate art card from Lost Origin. In fact, I believe it is the same artist. It is very pretty. There's a lot going on, but that's what really adds to its overall aesthetic and its appeal. You even have the Gyarados in the top right corner over here. This card, I think a while ago, surpassed the Iono SIR, so congratulations on that to Magikarp. Let's look at some values. We have September 11th, $54.44. That's a year ago. Current value, $115.17. So it is up by quite a lot over there. 111.55% increase there in value, which is pretty incredible. Then we look at its peak, which would have been June 17th, $141.44, and its low was September 18th of last year, $53.29. So for the record, I don't believe that this card is going to surpass Magikarp, but I think it'll get up there, and it will probably qualify for number 2 if it's not number 2 already. I actually don't recall if it's 2 or 3. I think it's number 3, but regardless, I think it can get up to the heights that Magikarp has gone up to, but I don't think it'll surpass it. We have the Tyranitar. This is another IR, again from Paldea Evolved. You have Tyranitar looking like Godzilla with these Star Raptors flying over it. It's a very beautiful card. The lighting, the overall aesthetic, the idea of it is amazing. Let's look at some values. We have September 18th, roughly a year ago, $22.58. Its current value is $27.52. So we have a 21.88% price increase from 1 year. It looks like its high was May 20th, $45.62, where we see a 102% price increase, which is very interesting. And then if we take a look at its low, January 22nd, $16.40. As I said before, I don't think this card is going to surpass the Magikarp, but I think it could get close to being on par with it. Then we move on to Obsidian Flames. The most expensive and sought after card coming out of Obsidian Flames currently is the Charizard EX SIR. This was the first Charizard card to come out for the Scarlet and Violet era, so this was all the rage when it first came out. It was a very popular card, very expensive, but it had such a huge fall from grace. In my opinion, I don't mind the artwork. It's not my favorite. You don't really get to see Charizard in its full glory here. It's the terastallized Charizard, which obviously makes sense, right? But I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of it personally. Just the overall idea, it almost looks kind of coloring book like, right? I don't know, but let's look at some values for this Charizard. We have roughly a year ago, September 18th, $71.85. Its current value, $43.72. That is a 39.15% decrease in value. That's pretty big. It looks like its high was where it was 1 year ago, and its current value is, its low is $39.65. Then we have my take, or my runner-up, of what could come to a very close second. I think this card is third on the list right now. It could come close to in price and come close to being as sought after as the Charizard. We have the Ninetales illustration rare from Obsidian Flames. The only issue is I'm pretty sure the IRs are easier to pull than the SIRs, quite obviously. So who knows how rampant this card could have been pulled already, how much pulls and how much volume this card has in its circulation. It's a wonderful card though. You have Ninetales, which again is one of the OG 151. The lighting, the way the center focuses on Ninetales, the background, the foreground, everything is fantastic about it. Just really showcases how majestic this Pokemon is. But yeah, the issue is the fact that its current value is not that high. So if we look, roughly a year ago, $8.31, and its current value is $10.01. So that's a 20.46% increase in value, which is not bad. But then you look at by how much exactly and where it started out a year ago, not the best. But if we go to its low, April 8th, $5.58, and then its high, July 1st, $12.47. This card has potential for sure. I don't know if it'll reach up to Charizard's value of around $50, but I think it will definitely get up there as time goes on, but let's wait and see. This is my chosen one. This is my runner-up though. All right, then we have quite a fun one. We have Charizard EX from Scarlet and Violet 151. This is the most sought after and expensive card coming out of English 151. This is obviously the SIR. It is really nice. My only complaint, it's not really a complaint, but my only thing is Charizard is so far away, and this is kind of just more of a landscape shot than it is what feels like a Charizard shot, right? Like if you look at least for the Obsidian Flames, you have Charizard front and center. If you look at Magikarp, at the very least, Magikarp's kind of front and center, and there's a lot going on behind it for sure, but it kind of has its own trope. But I don't know, I love the artwork, but I'm not super crazy about it. Let's take a quick look at the values though. We have roughly a year ago, $132.72, where its current value is $125.85. So that's a decrease of 5.18% overall. Then if we take a look at its high, $134.98, and then its low was $102.62 on April 1st. So yeah, I mean, this card, I'm gonna assume it's gonna stay around this price, but let's take a look at my chosen. All right, my chosen one is Venusaur EX. This is the other SIR from Scarlet and Violet 151, and I'm pretty sure this card is number 4 or 3 in terms of where it is on the hierarchy of value for 151. I don't know. I think if you look at the big 3 cards, Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur, I think the way Venusaur is portrayed in its artwork is kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say more true to its character, but I think it's just the way it flows with the overall artwork, right? For the Charizard, you have it flying away over a canyon, which is fine, whatever. Blastoise is underwater, that's fine. Venusaur, I guess you can make the argument, it's just chilling in colorful kind of greenery, right? Colorful, not fauna, but flora, there we go, I couldn't think of the word. But I don't know, I just think the way the background and the way Venusaur interacts with the environment really brings out the Pokemon in of itself. I don't know, I just think this is a fantastic card, especially when you see it in person, the way it shines, the way the holographic goes. Let's look at some values. We have September 18th, roughly a year ago, $41.20. It looks like current value $39.50, so that's a decrease of 4.13%. Its high was November 13th, $47.10. And its low was April 22nd, $35.85. Then we move over to Paradox Rift. So we have the Roaring Moon EX SIR coming out of this set. This is a very good Pokemon, a very strong card, especially for this set of Paradox Rift. You have the ancient form of Salamence in this area 0, I believe. Is that what it's called? I can't quite remember. And yeah, it's flapping its wings, kind of screaming at the Screamtails and then the other sort of Paradox Pokemon. It's a very lovely card. Let's take a look at some values. We have $74.99 roughly a year ago. Its current value is $55.40, so it's a decrease of 26.12%. And then it looks like October 30th was its high, $114.61. And then its low was roughly over here, May 13th, $52.43. Now, my runner-up, my card to get on par and surpass it is a bit of a cop-out because Groudon, the IR card from this set, is pretty much already there. It's just a few dollars shy of catching up to the Roaring Moon and then even surpassing it, right? But I don't know, I think Groudon is just, if Roaring Moon was just Salamence, I think it would have held a better ground. It would have been a little bit better and more enticing, but the fact that it's got the Paradox version attached to it, it doesn't quite hold up as well as I think they wanted it to. But Groudon is just Groudon, right? It's a classic Gen 3 legendary Pokemon. The artwork is fantastic. We're waiting for that Kyogre counterpart, right? It's going to be amazing. You have the volcano in the background, the water meeting the land, kind of symbolizing how Kyogre and Groudon feud with each other. It is fantastic stuff. Let's look at the values. We have $22.54 1 year ago. Its current value is $51.29. That's an increase of 127.55%. Its high looked like it was May 27th, $64.28. And then its low is actually where it was 1 year ago. I think this card will likely surpass Roaring Moon. Then we move over to Paldean Fates. So we have Charizard EX from Paldean Fates. This is the SIR. Third Charizard on this list. I'm pretty sure every set that has a Charizard and will have a Charizard will probably be at the top of this list. This is probably my favorite Charizard card though, not only because it is shiny, it just looks fantastic the way the colors flow on this one. If you were to compare it to the Obsidian Flames one, I don't know, I think the orange and the blue with the sort of silver kind of crystals, it just doesn't flow as well as this one does with the black crystals. Charizard's body is black with the sort of red / magenta wings. The card just flows so much better, right? That's my opinion. This card is honestly deserving of being where it is. Let's look at the values. We have January 15th, $162.29. And then it looks like its current value is $108.58. That's a decrease of 33.10%. Its high is January 22nd, $184.14. And its low is $112.52. Now here's my runner-up / could catch up pick. I would have picked the Mew, and I do still kind of want to go back and pick the Mew, but I wanted to switch things up a little bit because the Mew was, I don't know, I think with the Paradox Rift is a very obvious choice. So Mew probably is already up there. I think the Mew is already solidified enough, right? But I think the Gardevoir is still sort of slept on, and it isn't really receiving the recognition that I thought it would have. It's a beautiful card. I mean, it's kind of in this enchanted, majestic sort of forest here in the moonlight. It's Gardevoir, it's a fan favorite Pokemon. It's really nice stuff. I like this artwork more than I like the Mew EX artwork in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So that's why I kind of wanted to boot up the Gardevoir a little bit more. I know the Mew EX is pretty unique in the way it looks, but regardless, I think this card can definitely get up there and get on par with the Mew and maybe even surpass the Mew. But let's see what the values dictate. So we have roughly when this card was released, $66.57, and its current value is $45.97, so that's a decrease of 30.94%. Its high was January 22nd, $68.61, and its low was relatively recently on August 19th, $45.59. Then we move over to Temporal Forces. Now this might be my strongest opinion. So we have Raging Bolt EXSIR. I really do not like Raging Bolt as a Pokemon. I think it just looks silly. They butchered Raikou. I know I'm pretty strong feelings here, but I don't know. I just don't like it at all. I don't think it looks good. I know a lot of people do like it though, but this artwork in of itself is not that bad. You have sort of these canyons over here with or these kind of ridge lines, and then there's this canyon that Raging Bolt is standing in the middle of. You have the purple sort of lightning thunder with a nice foreground. It is nice artwork. I don't know, I just don't like Raging Bolt, and I think a lot of people might follow my opinion there too. But let's look at some values. We have March 18th, $76.17. The current value is $75.06, so that's a decrease of 1.46%. Its high is May 20th, $99.11, and its low is April 29th, $49.88. Now, here's my pick to be on top, and it actually was for a little bit, but the Raging Bolt card surpassed it, is Iron Crown EX. I just think Iron Crown is so much cooler. Now, the issue, what I think, I could be wrong, but I think in terms of Pokemon in of themselves, right? When I think of a Pokemon, I don't think of robotic kind of things, right? I mean, maybe Magnemite, Magneton, Magnezone, and there might be a few others, but I don't really think of this sort of robotic technology filled Genesect. Sorry, I'm going off on tangents, but I mainly think of these monsters, these creatures, flesh, fur, bones, you know? I don't know. Weird way to describe Pokemon, right? But I think that's why the future cards kind of suffer a little bit, in my opinion. Is just, I don't know. I think this is more like a Digimon kind of thing, you know, to have this sort of animatronic, robotic, metallic kind of body. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But I think Iron Crown is really cool, and I think this artwork is fantastic. You have that full moon behind it. You have the blue sort of sky with the green kind of emitting out. The colors are fantastic. Let's take a look. You have $95.58, which is, I believe, more expensive than what Raging Bolt was, obviously. And then its current value, unfortunately, is $57.99, so that's a decrease of 39.33%. Looking at the values, you have May 13th, $55.04 is its low, and its high was where it was a year ago. However, I do think this card has the ability to retake #1 and surpass Raging Bolt. All right, then we go to Twilight Masquerade, and it's going to be very hard to beat this card. You have the Greninja EX SIR. Now, who knows what the fate of this Greninja card is? I have my personal hopes and biases of Greninja kind of continuing to grow and climb and become a very expensive card. I don't even have it in my collection, but I don't know. I think I would just like to see that for the Scarlet and Violet era, similar to what we've seen in the Sword and Shield era, right? I know it's a different world. Collectibles in general are different. Will we likely see a Sword and Shield phenomenon again? I doubt it, but I would love to see it. I don't know. Anyways, you have the Greninja EX, and it's a beautiful card. I really don't know what to say about it other than the fact that it's beautiful. I mean, you have the paint splotches, you have Greninja kind of on top. This is a really nice card the way it's done. I just love it. I would love to have this card in my collection. But let's look at some values. We have May 6th, roughly pre-release, I believe, $158.17. Current value, $281.47. That's a 77.95% increase. Its low was May 13th, $118.77. And its high, August 5th, $299.89. This is my pick for #2. We have the Eevee Illustration Rare. Now, here's why I picked this and not the couple other cards that are in front of Greninja. So, Eevee is a classic. Eevee is such an icon. Eevee is a beloved fan favorite Pokemon, right? You have this awesome card here, which has a lot of Eevees featured in it. It's a very sort of adorable, playful kind of card, right? It is fantastic. The value in of itself is pretty good too. I mean, we'll go to the values real quick. You have $45.13 as its current value. When it came out, $25.59. That's an increase of 76.36%. Its high was July 1st, $61.12, and its low was where it was 1 year ago. Now, I just don't know how well the trainer cards of the SIRs are going to hold up, right? You have Kieran and Perrin. The issue is they're new trainers. Yeah, they look great in their SIRs, but it's really tough to call what their future will be like, especially if Pokemon doesn't really do much with them in future sets or in future eras, right? Eevee, however, is timeless. Eevee will always be beloved. So that is why I picked it for my runner-up. It still has a long way to go, and I doubt it's ever going to reach the amount that Greninja has reached, but I think it could get up there, and I think it has the potential to climb the ranks. All right, then we have the latest and last set that we're going to cover, as this is what's out right now. Stellar Crown comes out this week, but it'd obviously be too soon to tell for that one. We have Shrouded Fable, and the most expensive card to come out of Shrouded Fable is Earthen Vessel. This is a hyper rare gold trainer card. This is an ancient trainer card. You can use this card only if you discard another card from your hand, search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is, I guess, a highly playable card. It's similar to the Buddy Buddy Poffin from Twilight Masquerade, but I do not blame this set for having a trainer gold card as its most coveted card. In my opinion, Shrouded Fable, I don't like it very much. I don't think it's very good. I don't know. I just don't want to open it. I don't want nothing to do with it, which is fine, right? If you want something to do with it, absolutely, right? That's just me. But let's look at the values here. We have July 27th, $60. That is around pre-release. Current value $55.48, $7.53, or sorry, 7.53% decrease. It looks like its low was August 14th. Whoops. $50.26. And then this is my pick for what could reach that Earthen Vessel, but I am worried for Shrouded Fable because as soon as rotation is done and the Earthen Vessel cannot be played anymore, it's not a playable card, there's not going to be a lot of value there, right? I would assume. So I don't know. The next runner-up, there's just not a lot of value there either. So I picked Persian. It was between Persian and Houndoom. Persian has a little more value than Houndoom does right now. I think that Houndoom card is, in my opinion, better looking than Persian, but Persian is an original 151. Granted, I think it's one of the weaker 151s in terms of just how iconic they are, right? But yeah, you have Persian here. It's an IR. What really saves this card is the fact that it looks like it's Giovanni's Persian, as it is in this sort of kind of fancy looking penthouse, right, with the red curtains, the red stuff. Looks like Team Rocket's Persian, Giovanni's Persian. I don't know. This is such a tough card to make a call on. I mean, let's look at the values. We have $39.99 July 27th. Current value $25.47. That's a 36.31% decrease. Its high July 30th, 40.68, and its low is its current value. Again, I just think it's really tough to make a call on this one in particular, but I think it has the potential to go up a little bit, but not by that much. And I think when Earthen Vessel gets out of the rotation, I don't know if people are going to care too much about the SIRs of Monkey Dory, Okidogi. I don't know. I personally don't, but that's just my personal biases. And yeah, I don't know. I think Persian could have a stake in coming to the top or coming close to the top, but as of right now, it's like number 4 or something, number 3 on the list anyways, right? So it's definitely not far off. All right, so that concludes our list of the most coveted and sought after chase card from each individual Scarlet and Violet set, and then also which card I think from those sets could either surpass that card or catch up to it, gain a lot of value in general. I don't know exactly how to word it. Again, a lot of this was part and due to my personal bias of just which Pokemon I think look better and deserve better. Some of these are a lot trickier, right? Like Shrouded Fable and Obsidian Flames, I think were very difficult. Others were really easy, like Paradox Rift and 151 and Temporal Forces, as well as maybe even Paldean Fates, right? Some of them were a lot easier. Some of them, again, there are other cards that you could have put as the runner-up, but I wanted to make things interesting on some, and some I wanted to take the easy way out too, right? But those are just my list. I'd love to know your thoughts on it down below, and until next time, I'll catch you in the next one.